Shutter speed. That's what we're going to learn about today. So what does shutter speed do? Shutter speed controls two main things. It controls the brightness of an image or the exposure of an image. It also controls motion blur or lack of motion blur. So exposure, let's talk about that first. Exposure, or the brightness of an image, whenever you change your shutter speed to, let's say your shutter speed is at 1/48th of a second, 1/48. And then you move it up to 1/100th, 1/100. That is going to, one, darken your image. And two, it's also, if you see this, if you see my hand right here, you'll notice that there's motion blur here. If I changed my shutter speed, you would see almost like that. And that's how it would kind of affect your image in terms of the motion blur. So brightness of your image, or exposure of your image, and motion blur. So the higher your shutter speed is, the less motion blur there's going to be. The lower the shutter speed is, the more motion blur there's going to be. So how do we use this to be able to achieve different effects in videos, or just in general, how do you use shutter speed for video? A low shutter speed can be used to convey dizziness or someone who is inebriated. So in different stories, if you've seen different movies, whenever they have a really blurry scene where somebody's like walking around and they're like drunk or something like that, or they are in a daze, or they just got hit in the head and like their ears are ringing, and you see the image and it's very, very blurry and very dreamlike, that is the sign of a low shutter speed. And then in terms of the other side of the spectrum, higher shutter speed with less motion blur can be used to convey urgency or intensity. If you've ever seen a movie with like a war scene or like a battle scene, they're slinging swords and they're trying to kill each other and everything, you'll probably notice in these scenes you can see all the swings of the sword, and everything seems very sharp and there's not a lot of motion blur going on. This is the sign of a higher shutter speed. So these are the kind of ways you can use shutter speed practically in your videos and what they affect about your videos as well. And finally, here's a pro tip when it comes to shutter speed and a rule you should follow for shutter speed if you want to create good videos. Shutter speed rule you should follow, unless you are trying to achieve a unique or artistic look, is that your frame rate, follow me, your frame rate should be as close to half your shutter speed as you can get it. Now, some cameras can't achieve exactly that, but they can get really, really close. So for example, if you're shooting 24 frames per second, your shutter speed should be as close as possible to 1/48. So what this does is, that's exactly how I have my camera set up right now. What this does is, you see this motion blur again that we talked about earlier. This is this type of motion blur that you're seeing right here mimics what our eyes can see. So we don't see in 1/100th of a second shutter speed. We don't see in 1/4th of a second in shutter speed. This is how you mimic what the human eye sees, and when people watch your videos, they will get the most normal feeling. So they'll see a video and subconsciously they'll be like, oh, that video looks natural to me because I can see motion blur of everything. Even though people who don't necessarily have technical camera skills, they won't be able to notice it in the way of, oh, they have their shutter speed correct. Subconsciously, their brain and their eyes will see that, and they'll process that image. If you have your shutter speed correct, they'll process that image as, oh, this image looks natural. This image looks normal. So now you should keep this rule only if you're not trying to achieve some sort of artistic look. Like I explained in the beginning, if you're trying to achieve an artistic look, like if you're trying to make a scene or make a video of somebody who is feeling inebriated or who is drunk, you should use a lower shutter speed to be able to convey that, and do the whole dizzy thing, and make the audience watching the video see that video and they'll be like, oh my gosh, I feel like they're drunk, because you see all the blurriness and you're from this character's point of view who's drunk in the story, and the shutter speed is low enough to convey that they are like woozy and dizzy. So that is shutter speed in a nutshell. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Hayden Cornfloss, and I am an in-house video producer for a national 8-figure brand here in the USA. And this channel exists to teach you how to do exactly what I do, which is create beautifully engaging videos and how to do it for a living. Thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to watch this video and sit and have a chat with me. I will see you in the next one.